Welcome to the Irish Media Network. I'm Cameron Fields.
And I'm Matthew Calloway. Today we'll be reviewing and previewing some fan favorites like March Madness and the new Mission Impossible movie. Do we have anything else going on, Cameron?
Yes, Matthew. We have an insect that has been brought back from extinction.
You don't say that every day.
No, you don't. We'll be right back into that after this short break.
To Knoxville, Tennessee, home of the Fighting Irish. You are looking live from Knoxville, Tennessee. Hello and welcome to the Irish Media Network.
Hi there, welcome to The First Down, brought to you by the Irish Media Network.
Give him sing.
Imagine an animal thought to be extinct for 80 years, but then some are found still alive. That is exactly the case of the Lord Howe Island stick insect, which are the largest species of flightless insect. In the 1800s, the species of bugs were thriving on Lord Howe Island, but when a ship arrived, the small island was looted. The ship carried over black rats, which then feasted on the Lord Howe insects, resulting in their extinction. A breakthrough appeared in 2001 where large insect eggs were found under a shrub, seeming to belong to the Lord Howe. The researchers then returned at night, finding 24 of the stick insect living below that same shrub. The Lord Howe was successfully rebred in Melbourne, Australia after some time in captivity. Some of the eggs were sent to zoos around the world, including the Bristol Zoo, the San Diego Zoo, and the Toronto Zoo. Now, the Prague Zoo has created a working living area for the Lord Howe. The building is air-conditioned with disinfection equipment for the zookeepers, as the insects are known to be prone to infection. The main goal of the preservation is to return to the Lord Howe back to the original island. We hope they are successful in returning the Lord Howe, but for now, let's hear about this year's March Madness tournament.
Thank you, Cameron. Let's kick things off with our Women's Cinderella team predictions. This year, we're keeping an eye on Florida State, Iowa Hawkeyes, Tennessee Lady Vols, and Harvard Crimson. These teams have shown incredible resilience and were predicted to make a surprising run in the tournament. Now let's highlight some athletes who have truly stood out this season. For the women's team, UConn guard Paige Buchers, who has the most three-point game stretch in UConn history, alongside UCLA's Lauren Betts, who has the best-looking states in D1 since the last 30 years, and Texas's Madison Booker, who we've seen take down girls of all sizes without batting an eye. Switching gears to the men's tournament, we have seen some major upsets that have shaken things up. Ole Miss ranked 6th, winning against Iowa State number 3 in a score 91-78. McNeese number 12 against Clemson number 5, with McNeese taking the win 69-67. As well as Drake number 11 beating Missouri number 6 67-57. These were all surprising victories that had left fans on the edge of their seats. Among the standout athletes in the men's division, Auburn's Janai Broom, who is the National Player of the Year contender, along with Florida's Walter Clayton Jr., who made 47.4% of his shots from well beyond the three-point line, and Tennessee's Zakai Ziegler, who is beloved by the Vol Nation and who is actually having a documentary made on Netflix about his basketball career. The championship game for March Madness was Florida versus Houston, with Houston losing 63-65. All the March Madness games were played with such passion, and I cannot wait to watch it again next year. Now let's see what the pilgrimage class has been up to.
This week, the Christian Pilgrimage class went on their final pilgrimage to the Smoky Mountains. With the semester coming to an end, so is our time in the class. This is what seniors Cameron Mayfield and Grace Strone had to say about their time in Christian Pilgrimage.
So my favorite thing about Christian Pilgrimage is everyone in the class. And not only everyone in the class, but all the experiences that we get to have and all of the things that we learn. Everything that we learn and we talk about in class can be applied to all the field trips, and we always have a great time with each other.
The friendships that I've built from this class and everything that I've learned in this class and all the field trips that we get to take.
With the Smoky Mountains being our final trip, we truly got to experience what pilgrimage and nature is all about.
I enjoyed this specific trip that we took to the Smoky Mountains because I learned the different things about the environment and what makes the world healthy. And how that we can practice making our own environment healthy.
Oh my gosh, I've got to say my favorite part was catching the, what are they called, BAMs, catching the BAMs, catching the salamanders, because it's just so active, it's so much fun, and it brings us closer together as a class. And not only that, but it helps us learn some things that we've already talked about in class, like hospitality and caring for the environment, because pilgrimage isn't just about people that you meet, it's also about the journey itself, and that wouldn't be possible without the environment.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been Delaney Crandall with the Irish Media Network.
Thank you, Delaney. Seems like everyone had a great time on the trip. However, let's right into a car chase which happened April 7th. By 3:30 p.m., sirens were blaring through the streets and police swarming Gay Street because of a speeding suspect whose reckless flight had crossed multiple county lines. According to authorities, it all began just before 3 o'clock p.m. in Roane County, where sheriff's deputies attempted to pull over a black Dodge Charger believed to be connected to an armed robbery earlier that day. The driver didn't stop. Instead, he floored the accelerator, setting off a high-speed chase that would stretch over 50 miles, tearing through Roane, Loudoun, and Blount counties before reaching Knoxville. Speeds topped 110 miles per hour. Dash cams captured the Charger weaving between vehicles on the interstate, narrowly avoiding collisions. By the time the chase reached the outskirts of Knoxville, police had cleared parts of the interstate and downtown roads. Officers braced for impact as the Charger exited I-40 and entered the city. The chase ended near the intersection of Gay Street and Summit Hill Drive, where officers finally forced the car to a stop using spike trips and a tactical vehicle maneuver. The driver, whose identity has not yet been released, had abandoned the car and tried to flee on foot. Officers tackled him within seconds, placing him under arrest. No civilians were injured, though at least 2 patrol cars and 1 civilian vehicle sustained damage during the chase. The suspect now faces a long list of charges, including felony evasion, reckless endangerment, and armed robbery. Well, there's certainly been a lot of action on the streets, and we hope everyone will stay home and safe.
Well, that whole situation is crazy, but we're glad everyone is safe. But by now, everyone has seen or at least heard of the popular movie franchise Mission Impossible. The action spy-themed movie first started back in 1996 and is carried on all the way to this year, where the 8th and final movie is set to release on May 23rd. The final reckoning will of course star Tom Cruise, who stated that he was glad to be finally done with the movies. While we don't know much about the plot as of now, we can assume it will follow the same story and will either end with the main protagonist living happily ever after, or following in James Bond's footsteps and ending with an emotional sacrifice. We're all very excited to see what this movie brings. Now over to Brindley with some Easter family traditions.
For many families, Easter is more than just a spring holiday. It's a time of joy, renewal, and tradition.
I would say my family celebrates Easter by, just all coming together and having a nice meal. Also, when we wake up in the morning, we have gifts that my mom and dad have prepared for us. It's just like a little Easter tradition.
We celebrate Easter by going to church as a family, and then we have an Easter brunch at my house.
While the way people celebrate may vary, certain traditions remain close to the heart.
My favorite Easter tradition is having my Mimi cook all of the food because she's the best cook I know.
For others, the meaning of Easter runs deeper. It's the conclusion of Holy Week, a sacred time in the Christian faith that remembers the final days of Jesus' life. Whether through faith or family, Easter carries a personal meaning for many.
To me personally, I think that Easter is a very big spiritual holiday for me, especially with Jesus and how he died and resurrected. I know that my church and my family like to celebrate, well, I guess not celebrate, but, celebrate the way that he rose from the dead. And, it's a really good feeling.
Whether it's time spent with family, quiet moments of faith, or just a basket full of chocolate, Easter means something special to everyone. This has been Brindley Gardner with the Irish Media Network.
For our next story, we have a very rare occurrence where NASA's Perseverance rover, which is originally just studying Mars' atmosphere, managed to capture 2 Martian dust devils colliding. On January 25th, 2 Martian dust devils, one being 210 feet wide and the other only 16 feet wide, collided and emerged together barely half a mile away from one of the rover's cameras, which managed to capture the event in very high detail. Even though these swirling dust clouds are common and regularly roam over the red planet's surface, it is rare for them to collide as far as we know, and even more rare for it to be filmed in such amazing detail. These Martian tornadoes play an important role for NASA by telling us about any atmospheric conditions and changes. Martian wind patterns are also responsible for nearly half of the dust in Mars' atmosphere. It may not seem like much, but discoveries like this help us learn just a little more about the unknown. Well, that's all we have for you today.
Thank you for watching. Remember to follow us on our socials.
And as always,
Go Irish!